Hi, this is Marlene Gibb with What Do You Do? And today's guest is Anita Ron. And Anita, what do you do?
I'm a business owner in Covina, California. I do a janitorial service and successfully running for 16 years.
Tell us how you got started in the janitorial service, because I think your story's funny. I really do.
It is a story. I used to work for a corporation, a hospitality corporation, and I was struggling being the mother of a 6-year-old and a 6-month-old. And as moms, we have an obligation that's like our job, that's the priority. And I loved my job extremely a lot. I was doing menu planning and scheduling and for K through 12 in the food service program. And it came to a point that I was being sent all over the place, and I realized that my job that I was supposed to be doing was being a good mom. So I prayed on it. I asked God, once I came back from maternity leave, to assist me and help me get things a little bit more workable, because they were sending me all over the place. There was one day I'd be in Hawthorne, and the next day I'd be in Big Bear and in Escondido, and I said, this is not the way I want to do. I want to be a mom to my kids. Some days I was currently living in West Covina, and I would be driving to the babysitter in Los Angeles and bringing them back when it was really dark. So I decided there had to be a business, because I was really tired of going early in the morning, dropping off the kids when it was dark, and coming back when it was dark, and putting the kids to sleep. It was not a life for them. So I left all that, started Briteworks.
Okay. You were going through, because you're a woman and a mom, so when you're going through this process, and you knew you did not want to do this, what other things came into your mind? I mean, did somebody drop in and say, hey, this is a good business?
No, I think it's a really funny story, but my husband had already been married for about 7 years, and his family was in the janitorial business previously. They had always done that for many, many years, earlier 80s. And so when I met my husband, and one of the things I had asked him, so what do you do in San Jose for fun? Because as a graduate from the University of Laverne, my first job I took was with Marriott up north. And when I was talking to him, so what do you do for fun? And he told me, someday I want to start a business, a janitorial business. And I thought, oh, that's weird, but okay, I can, just deal with that. But in time, after, meeting him, getting to know him, guess what? We wound up getting married, and we started a family. He came down to Southern California. So at the time when I told him, you know what, I'm going to be moving into a new chapter, I got laid off from my organization that I really did enjoy doing the job. But he said, you know what, this is the time maybe we could do that dream that I always thought maybe janitorial would be a good thing. So I thought, well, you know what, I've been in food services. I know exactly what it means about coming into an office and wanting to have it clean when you start working, and I know the quality and customer service, and I think with all that I can blend it all together. And one of the things that I thought I was going to have was much more time with the kids. But as you know, as time goes on, 3 vacuum cleaners, $700, and then 16 years later, now with 60-something employees, there's not a lot of time, but there's a lot of fun, and it's still a roller coaster that I do enjoy doing.
When he talked to you about this janitorial, I mean, because you did come out of hospitality, I mean, there's a big difference between, in a way, hospitality.
Well, not exactly in food services, because in food services, there's a cleanliness that has to be met in order to make sure that there's no cross-contamination, and also to make sure that you're serving healthy meals to your customer. So I already had come out of that mentality, and I had already had the education and knowledge and training that you got to get certified for that. So what I did was take all those specialties that I learned in that environment and basically put it into the general cleaning environment. And it worked really well, because what it did was actually everybody's expectation of cleaning is here, and what Briteworks did is we lifted up the expectation. So then we're always meeting that need for them. And what we did was, another thing was put it more, what are your needs? What are your real cleaning needs? Because someone who has a large facility over 150,000 square feet doesn't have the need of a small organization that's 25,000 square feet. So we really try to narrow down and uniquely meet that need, the scope of work for that client, to give them an affordable service that they can enjoy. And the biggest thing is to actually provide that friendly cleaning environment, because I tell you, that's something that no employee wants to come in and clean the toilets. No one does. Yeah.
None of us like it here. I mean, none of us like it here.
It's a hardship.
It is. It is. Before we get to that, I want to back up. How long did it take you, realistically, to do this business plan, even with all your background? Did you have to go through certification in janitorial cleaning and all this?
What SBA says, the first 5 years are probably the most hard years that a business, and if you one out of 5 businesses succeed.
Right.
And if you're at that point, then there's something that you're doing something right. I will tell you honestly, in a sense, that it was doing like a 24-hour shift. I mean, we're in janitorial, so we're cleaning at night. But in addition is you're putting your proposals together. You're meeting the needs of your clients. They want to talk to you. They want to see Anita Ron. They want to say, are you meeting my needs? Are you able to do this? So for the first 5 years, not only were we trying to get over the situation of starting a business, but in addition, getting over the whole thing about your 24 hours when you're working for Briteworks 7 days a week. And through the whole process is giving up a lot of that quality time that you could just say, today is Saturday and Sunday and I don't have to think about work anymore.
No, that's not true.
Our hat was always on. And I say our because there was a lot of people, a lot of my employees that we got started with that, they worked hard in order to get where I'm at now. And
talking about this employees, that the first 5 years, what was the first, let's go back to the very first year. You said, okay, I'm starting Briteworks now. It's going to be a janitorial service for businesses. You knew you were going to be business to business rather than business to consumer.
Exactly. Well,
what made you make that choice?
Because I wanted to still be in the professional arena. I enjoyed interacting with professionals. I enjoyed still assimilating with people, and the professional, just going into a building and knowing the environment there kind of excited me. And it's kind of fun when you can go into an organization that you remember when you were a kid.
Right.
So for me, I knew it had to be business to business. So first thing was I told everybody I was going to get into business. I told my family, I have a large family, and my brother was like, hey, you don't even know how to clean your house. How are you going to do that? And I was like, well, thank you very much. And even in the first 5 years, I mean, I was getting calls from siblings and friends from college and like, hey, I wanted to let you know I went to a gas station, or I was in downtown Los Angeles and I think someone stole your van. And I'm like laughing. I'm like, no, it's my crew and no one stole my van. We're growing. So it was like for them to actually believe in the whole process too. As you tell more people, and you hear that once you tell one person, then another person, they like you and they tell another 2 people, and it grows and it grows. The same thing when you have like over 100 people knowing that this is what Anita Ron is going to do, they're going to start a janitorial service, then you have to do it. There's no way to fail. And the thing about it, when we were doing it, we had just bought our home, purchased our home. We were on a mortgage, and then we started it in '96, and a year before we had just bought our house. And that was one of the reasons why, my brothers thought that I was crazy. Because here you're quitting your job. Both of you guys are 2 professionals, and one of you, you need 2 incomes these days.
Right.
And so that was the thing. I just thought I can't fail because I have to put food on the table for the kids, and I also had to pay my mortgage, and that was something that I was not going to have a hiccup on.
When you decided this, were you going to go?
Well,
who was doing the going out on the sales? You?
I seem to be better on it, and it's the funny thing is that he was still working.
This is your husband?
Yes, he was still working. I started the business in December '96, and 6 months later he got laid off. And so basically what we had said, the person that finds the next job is going to be the one that's going to run the income for the household, and the other one is going to be the daredevil that's going to go out there and grow the organization. Well, I wound up getting the job first at one time, but the job that I got, I didn't like because I was getting in at 5:30 in the morning, and I figured if I was going to do those type of hours and getting out at 2:30 and then having to do the business still, I just said it didn't work for me. So luckily enough, he wound up getting a job with something that he really enjoys. He's a software engineer, so it was something that he's now been working for his company for the last or the organization that he works for the last 17 years. So the neat thing about it is it complemented each other. He did something that he liked, and God provided me with the resource that I like, because one of the things I do like about Briteworks, and I'm pretty sure that many of my employees could say, is the people you meet.
Oh, yeah.
The places you go.
Yeah, yeah.
The experiences you get. I mean, I would have never have thought I was going to go into some of these organizations that we provide services for, and these are products that I've used when I was a kid, you know, drinking their beverages, you know, going to a party and seeing some of the products that my clients are providing, and now I can go in and say, I know how that is done. You know, it just the fascination of seeing that some of the products that we're actually servicing when it comes to coffee creamers, and you know that your client did that, and perhaps that was a day that you were walking in that they did that production, you know. So that's kind of the neat things that you get to see. That then you meet a lot of municipal cities, and you get to go into areas that you never would have thought.
And meet people. When you started doing this, you didn't go after the biggies right away.
No, not at all.
You really,
And
I mean, and how many employees? I really want to get a feel for the audience to really understand what it's, because you started with nothing.
I started with nothing, but I had a real strong background and family that believed in me.
Right.
My mother, bless her heart, she was the one that took care of my kids. And the first award I got is the Entrepreneur Award from the Latin Business Association. And I had taken my dad there, and he was always driven to be an entrepreneur. He had that entrepreneur spirit, and I think that's where I got it from. He went to see me get the award, and he came back and told my mom, you know what, she's serious. She's going to go somewhere. So you need to take care of the kids for her. And he got me a book that said, Starting a Business for Dummies, or something like that. And something that I really valued, because now I don't longer have that my mentor. But I think just the diligence, the integrity that he had throughout these years of raising 9 children, and me being one of the younger ones, I was very blessed in the sense, because my brothers and sisters who are much older than I was had kids that were going into college. So the neat thing about it, my first employees were my nephews and my nieces. And that was kind of like a unique little situation there.
It is, because most of the time they'll say, don't get in business with your friends or your family. You know that, right? And so because that can cause problems too, right?
Exactly.
I mean, that's what
true.
That's what I've always heard, because you can have problems.
Well, I remember the first couple of years. I remember going to the holiday functions, and then they would talk about something like, "Oh, what about this?" And I would say, "Wait a minute, guys. They're my employees. If I'm going to deal with something like that, it's going to be between your son and me. So let's have a good time." And I knew as time went on, my advisors, which are some of my brothers and sisters, realized that I needed to carry on that path on my own. Mm-hmm. And the joy that I get now is I do have a brother working for me, and great in sales. He's the best I could say as a salesperson, because they always say that the owner is probably the best salesperson of your organization. And when you find another individual with that same spirit and that same vibrantness, that enjoys doing what they do, and knows exactly, coming from the commercial industry, he knows exactly what it means to be clean and square footage and the whole thing, and putting it all together. So it was kind of like a good leap for him. So it complemented our organization.
So was it back
that was already
phase?
No, not the first 5 years.
Okay, so
first 5 years I was swimming on my own.
Yes. So you really did. So did you have the nieces and nephews? I mean, how many people did you? You remember how many people you had? You had to hire people. That
first
year.
couple of years, we probably had less than 5 people.
So you were out doing the proposals,
out there doing the proposals, sales, a little watching in the evening, and cleaning. And then having my nephews do some of doing the cleaning,
And you were doing some of the cleaning.
Not really, not as much as I want to say I did, but no, they did a lot of the footwork. Yes.
So you worked on that more of the marketing and proposal.
Yeah.
You had to be.
Now remember, I had a 6-year-old.
You're right. I know.
And then I had a 6-month-old, and then later, 3 years later, I had another little boy, and now he's 15 years old. Right. And that little 6-month-old is now 17 years old, and my 23-year-old daughter, who was 6 at the time. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is important, because You know, I used to read the magazines years ago, you know, and they say you can have it all. You can't you can, but you
have
can't.
to balance it.
You really have to balance
Yeah.
it out. And since you're a real mother and you're a real business, I really wanted you on the show to talk about a woman owning a business, what that's hers.
I think in all aspects, you have to realize one thing. As an individual and as a mom, you're not perfect. But yet, if you give what you know it's going to take for those kids to be good, healthy citizens of their community, then you've done a great job. So what I've tried to do is balance it all. And there's times, yes, I will admit, I brought my kids into the company and they were there, Mom, can we go home? No, just one more minute. And that one more minute took another 20 or an hour more. So those times I probably wouldn't like to magnify that, but it gave them some, I think, internal how important it is to work hard. Nothing's given to you. And if you work hard and you keep relationships and you are committed to do what you said you were going to do in the first place, and you make an impact, then it's going to make a difference, whatever you do. And
Right.
for me, I just felt like if I told you I was going to do this for you, then I would do it. I wouldn't hesitate to do it. And vice versa. And in my community, if I was going to do a kind of like a fundraiser or serving in the Lions community, because that's where I've been involved with them for the Lions International and West Covina Lions for the last 14 years. I started putting things in place that were going to help me be that successful individual for me personally. You have to find out inside, what are your likes? What do you really think you can do good
Right.
at that people would think that, you know, I'd be willing to pay for that service or the product that you're making or selling, and then deliver the product and believe that your customer is a valued individual as well, and you want to give them the best price, the best product, the best service for what you're charging them. And, you know, some days your customer is interested in knowing about something else. You build that relationship, and I think that's the thing that Briteworks has done really well. We've decided that, you know, we always have to make sure that the customer is getting the service that is needed and everything else, and knowing that we're empowering our employees to provide that service.
When you were doing this, I mean, now this is now, and I just want to go back and forth in time. When you were back in the 5-year period, how
I
many?
listened a lot.
So
I went to a lot of functions. I did a lot of reading up with SBA. There's
Okay.
services that are provided for small businesses that are actually free. SBA's website, getting on there, doing a business plan, going out. There's representation or people or organizations that help you out. SCORE is one of them. It's all free. You just have to believe and work hard enough. Meaning that it's, how should I put it?
Yeah, because you
It
could
just
go,
doesn't come to you. You
No.
have to be diligent.
Well, did you
Business
go
owners
out-
have to be diligent on doing the work.
Did you have something? Okay, you're going to go out and do your marketing now. Did you do cold calling? Did you go out to like
I
the
hate
West?
cold calling.
Yeah, I know most of us do. So we'll
I
do
like-
anything
yeah.
not to do that. But did you go like to the events like the West Covina Chamber?
You know, I became very active. One of the things that I did do was roll up my sleeves. There's always a need in a community.
Right.
A community is always going to need help. The city needs help. They can't do everything on their own. And most of us as citizens think, someone else is going to do it. No, it has to start within you. You have to plant that seed. When I started Briteworks, I planted that mustard seed. And I watered it, and what I mean by watering it, I gave the time to volunteer on certain things. And another business owner would tell me, why do you volunteer so much? I mean, you're not getting paid for it. But that's not the process of the whole thing. The process is if you give back, actually you're doing your own marketing. People start seeing, hey, do you know that individual, that little short lady? Her name's Anita Ron. And you know what? She really helped us out here. Briteworks, and then all of a sudden they know your company and they see your van going by, and guess what? You know what? Let's give her a chance. And then now you're cleaning their office, and then you're cleaning their friend's office, and then you're cleaning their
Right.
friend's building. But the thing about it is that you deliver the product that you say, and you always keep your word and your integrity. For the first 5 years, I always made sure that my employees got paid before I even took anything out of them. And that's a given. Later down in time, it was like my priority was that my employees got paid all the time. For me, if it meant that I didn't get a paycheck that day, I had to deal with it. So I always have to keep my numbers in line to make sure that, I knew another person that started out with $150,000 and his company went down in less than 5 to 6 years. Because I wasn't driving around in the most fanciest cars, because that's not what it takes. What it takes is actually rolling up your sleeves and really making sure the service is being provided. And that's exactly how it is. It's very simple, very, very simple.
Yeah, I know, and we make it more complex. I want to get back, when you were talking about volunteering and you were talking about the city, did you go with the organizations that you really felt strongly about, like the Lions Club?
I think it evolves. The first organization that I got very active with was with my local chamber, and I think every resident should do that.
Right.
Because they're there to provide a service, and the knowledge that you get from them and what you get from other business owners, they've gone through it or they've been through it, and they're so willing to open up their hearts and tell you, I did this and it didn't work. Well, you know what? Now I'm not going to take that path because I know it's not going to work. So I became very bonded with a lot of the business owners in the community. And then they asked me to be on the board. I didn't hesitate. I took it on.
You seem to be.
Yeah, I took it on real quick. And then later it evolved to be the president. But the neat thing about the West Covina Lions is because you have to be active, you have to go to their meetings, you have to be in fundraising. But at one point I felt, and believe it or not, I felt that I wasn't doing my job for being a member, because the fact that I couldn't go all the time. I was a business owner. I had to take care of my clients, and it was a schedule that you had to be there at 12:15. And sometimes I felt so embarrassed running in, and the meeting had already started 5 or 10 minutes before.
Yeah, but they understand that.
But the neat thing about it, you're right, they did.
They did understand.
One of the business owners that was in the organization had a business himself, and we were doing his service. We were doing his janitorial service for his school. And he said, "Hey, I haven't seen you in a long time at the Lions." And I felt, oh yeah, that's right. I'm just really busy. I'm taking care of the kids and doing this and doing that. And he said, "You know what? Don't sweat it." He goes, "Your job right now is to take care of your kids and run that business.
That's right.
So you can make it successful and you can make good citizens for our community. Later down the road, it'll evolve that now you can use the Lions to do as much as what you want to use it for, as far as helping with fundraising and helping our community. Don't worry, it'll come." And yes, he was an elderly individual. He was already, running his business, but he already had many years wiser. Yeah. And so I listened to that, and I thought, you know what? I'm going to continue paying my membership on an annual basis, because what they do is great.
We'll talk about that. Just say what the Lions do briefly. Yeah.
Well, the Lions is a service organization. There are 1.6 million members throughout the world, and what that is just people like you and me who have a philosophy of giving back and serving their communities. And so what they do is they go out there and they fundraise and they help people out. Many times it's a focus point of vision.
Vision. Well, they're heavily
they
vision.
help out when there's needs for people who cannot afford their eyewear. They'll provide it. Or if you have cataracts, they'll go ahead and raise the money to have that surgery for you. The neat thing about it, and it was a circle that just went all the way around, when I joined, not knowing it, I found out that my family had the opportunity to have a gift from the Lions for my sisters when they were kids. Remember I told you my dad, 9 kids in the family? Yeah. Well, the Lions gifted them sets of eyeglasses when they were in elementary school, probably in 3rd or 4th grade. And so this is my way to say thank you to the Lions Club, because now I can do it for someone else that really needs an impact. And it's so great when you go to some of these fundraisers and functions and service things like White Canes that we do annually, and you see a parent that's so concerned about the child getting the screening, and guess what? Mom and dad have that problem. Their vision is losing. And that happened once. It was a father concerned about his daughter. The daughter didn't want glasses, didn't she needed him, but it wasn't like a need like him. He was lost in
Right.
his vision. It was, I think he was probably over in his probably 40s or 50s. So his vision was really decreasing, and he found out he needed him. He was hiding that from everybody in his family. So he was able to get a free pair of glasses as well. That's when you feel inspired, and that's when you know you've made an impact, whether you're in a business or whether you're just a person, a community citizen in the community.
Well, you're still in the Lions Club, right?
Yeah, just finished my presidency last year, yeah.
So now you've got the community service. I just want you're trying to get the whole big picture of
one of the other
what you did.
things I have done, because it seems like everywhere I went, there was a step. I think if you went back about 16 years,
Yeah.
you could see every path that Anita went to, because a lot
Everything.
of those people became clients and so on and so on. Another client that I had a long time ago was the YWCA, and they're located now in Covina, formerly in West Covina, and they're off of Grand. And the YWCA is empowering women and eliminating racism. What a beautiful thing, right?
Right.
They have
Right.
a division which is Wings, and that helps with the domestic violence. And for some reason, it seemed like I was invited to some of their functions, got involved, and I thought, this is a need. Women do need to be empowered, whatever age it is. There's times that we need to know what's the next step, or I can do it. So I started getting involved in that, just volunteering, going to the meetings, being a part of them, listening to other people that were in it. And then all of a sudden, I lined up getting on their board. And I went through the process, helped out, volunteered, and then I lined up becoming the president. And I thought it was only a 1-year term. And then later they said, no, Anita, we can extend this for a couple of years if we need to. So that's the way it went. But, it was just a joy, because there was a lot of background that for me, my sister was killed because of domestic violence. So that opened up a door that I was able to at least understand, and not only that, to help other people so that doesn't happen to any mother, any sister, any neighbor, any coworker. Many times we don't know what our women are going through, and this was my way to say, you know what, if you need help, I'm going to be there to help and serve. So that was one thing. It just evolves, and it keeps on evolving.
Well, so you had the service part of who you are.
I had the service part
which
of
you
it.
melded into who you are, and then you had the business sense of
That I really love.
that you really love. So 5 years later, where were you?
5 years later, to be
Where were
very
you?
honest, I had pulled a very considerably large equity line on my property to keep the business moving in the right momentum. And my husband told me, if you don't pay it off in 3 years, this is over. This is over. And I was like, no, it's not over until Anita Ron says it's over.
Yeah,
it's not over. And so what I did was, you just don't go and tell a woman, any lady that's in a businesswoman, that it's over, because they'll refuse to say it's over until they know it's over. And so what I did, I accelerated. I just went ahead and, I don't know, it just blossomed up, because in 1 year I paid a very large debt that I had to pay back to my own personal home.
Right.
Which was considerably high, and he was surprised.
Did you just decide at that moment when he kind of gave you this ultimatum type
I
of
was
thing?
like, you're not going to take away everything I worked for.
Yeah. But did you start getting into gear? Did you start going out and doing more sales, or did you just continue with the networking?
I continued with the path I was taking, took advantage of SCORE, took advantage of SBA, started figuring out how I can get certified as a small business owner, minority-owned business, how I can take advantage of being a woman-owned business, started finding out how, and then putting it all into place.
And the how with the government, a lot of that is very intensive paperwork. Being
Exactly.
a minority business
Exactly.
and being a woman-owned business. Now, explain the difference, because women are really, women are looked at as more a minority anyway, right?
In a sense, in a sense, you could say that, but there is a minority-owned business, and
Right.
there is woman-owned business, and basically both of them need to have 51% ownership of the business. For me, it's all 100%. It's 100%. It's mine.
Okay.
And
but a lot of women, you know, when they have that,
it helps you out.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that you're going to get the business.
Right.
But there are many stipulations, like in corporate America, where they're willing to award a certain percentage of business to those criterias: minority, women-owned business. So this is what I would recommend.
Okay. No,
Husband and wife start a business up.
Right.
Okay?
Exactly.
A lot of the men don't want to relinquish that. They want to be 100%, but obviously it isn't, and it really is 50-50. But if they really wanted to go ahead and start being able to utilize a certification like that, then give that 1% away to the wife, even though you're married to her, so it's still 50-50, right?
Right.
And use that certification. Use it, get it, and have her be the lead of it.
How long did it take you to get the certification? Because I remember filling out that paperwork. There was a lot of paperwork.
It's very intense. There is one certification. There's several of them. But for 8.8 certification, and that's to do work with the federal government, it's a process. Some people go with a consultant and they get it all done, and it's XYZ, about $1,200 whatever dollars, or even probably less to do. But I did it all by myself. It's possible, and it took me less than a month to do. You submit the paperwork, you submit it with everything, and they basically they tell you yes or no, or these are the documents that we need. It is possible. You just have to sit down and get it done. And for most business owners, because they're doing everything, that is just so hard to do.
Right.
But if you can't do it, then get someone else to do it. But I strongly recommend take ownership to your organization. Just do it. Just do it. It doesn't hurt.
So you have your 8A.
It was 8.8. That only lasts us for 9 years. But then later, there's another organization. It's called the Southern California Minority Development Council, and basically what they do is they certify you as that minority business. You need to show proof on it that you're a minority-owned business.
So what is considered is women in that one considered minority?
They do not certify you as a woman.
Okay.
They certify you as a minority,
okay.
And you need to show proof. And so that's a renewal process that you have to do annually, and you show proof on that. And what they're looking for to say, hey, you are in business, you own the business 100% or whatever have you, that it's yours,
right.
And you are minority.
Okay, so what other certifications did you?
You could do women-owned business.
Okay.
And that is with WeBe. There's so many that you can do, but if the certification is going to help you be able to get an award, a big account, then go by all means do it. The only thing I would say is it's human nature for humans to want something big immediately.
You're not going to get it.
And it doesn't work that way. Meaning you have to put the path, get a lot of small ones that are going to carry you over. And then later, then try to get the big one once you have a little bit more cash flow. And then you continue gradually growing. I know a lot of business owners, what they do is they think, oh, no, we're going to get the huge ones. But if you don't have cash flow, and believe me, at the time,
and you have $90.
We didn't have, we only had $700 to start out with. There was not cash flow. But we've grown, we've evolved. I mean, yes, we were a home-based business, I will admit that. We were small, and it was being run very quietly from the home. Don't worry, the city knew about that because I had everything registered, and we even were awarded from the city the Home-Based Business of the Year award when we were living in West Covina. But in time, you evolve, so then you need to be willing to take that next step. And you can't expect everybody to invest in you. You can't expect to go into a bank and say, I need, I want, give me a loan. Are you investing in yourself? How much are you really putting in on your own? And when you start really putting in your half of it, then it starts coming easier, because then later the institutions realize this person's serious. They're putting in some of their own sweat equity in there.
Do you feel that they're still prejudiced towards women?
You know, I'm not going to say that anybody's prejudiced toward women, because you know what? As women overall, I think we're much stronger, we're much smarter, and we're able to handle ourselves.
Right,
so I'm not going to say, no, I'm not going to say that at all. I'm not going to say that there's prejudice. I don't know about the salary cap because I know there's still a little bit of that, but thank God I'm not in corporate America, right?
Right.
So I would just say you do what you do as a woman, and if you feel that something's not right, then research it and figure out how to make it right, because that's the most important thing, is that it's all equally run and operated.
So let's go back 5 years. So you're at the 5 year, you got 16 years. So we're at the 5 year mark. So you're okay.
You get the right people in place, and sometimes you didn't get the right person in place, and so it's kind of like a hiccup every time. I mean, I'll give you even a secret. For me personally, when I'm going to go on vacation, I don't tell anybody. Probably the only person that really knows that I'm going out is probably my secondhand person, who's Oscar. You know, he's the one that knows. And the reason why I don't do that, because all hell happens when the owner's not around.
Exactly.
You know, the day before you're going to take off, guess what? Your main person quits on you.
Right.
And you're like, oh, and it's happened more than once. So for me, it was like, no. Taking little steps, hiring the right people, putting and implementing the proper procedures. So I think between probably 4 and 7, it was implementing the right procedures, implementing things that corporate America would want to see a company like yours to be a part. You know, if you're going to do business with them, then you better start acting like you are like them and putting those processes in place. And you know what? I must say, a lot of my clients were the blessing in disguise, because they really want you to succeed as well. So what they would do is kind of like, how's the business? Oh, it's going great. Well, you know, have you ever thought about, you know, different systems, whether it was, you know, total quality management, customer service? They would always give you something to read or something to think about. Or, for example, we bought our building. I would say in 2010, we moved out of our 1,200 square foot facility, our little office over there in West Covina, and we landed up getting into a larger building that met the needs for my company. And some of my clients at the time, you know, I was asking them, what do you think? Do you think I should do it? Is it? And they were the ones that were saying, you know what? If I had money, I'd invest in it because I know you're going to do it. And that's the neat feeling. I think that was just empowering me more to do the right thing. And
that was
continue.
a big leap of faith, because that was a lot of money going from 1,200 square feet to
you see
I've been over there, so that, I mean,
it's huge.
Yeah, so that, and the streamlining of the business, that's very important to have systems. I mean, it's
processes
and systems
is what is going to help you succeed. Procedures. Getting from everything from step 1 to step 2. What does this person do? How do you open up your office? The whole process is going to help you, because that's what's going to free the business owner. That's what's going to actually allow you to go on vacation someday. The beginning, you're not going to be able to. You're going to have to be hands-on. But as time goes on, people with instructions do wonders.
And the other thing is it frees you to be more creative, because if you're in the daily routine,
it doesn't help you at all.
Because you're stuck in the daily routine and you're trying to see a bigger vision, but yet you're getting caught up in
everything,
every fire that goes on, because they'll call you. You trust your employees too.
Exactly. Well, you know what? My thought is this: when I take my break at night and go to sleep and rest for the day, for the evening, my employees, thank God for them, because they're the ones that are still up there, and they're the ones that are cleaning and making sure that there's a clean, safe environment for my clients. And every award that we've gotten, or everything that I've done, is because of their diligence and their commitment to make sure that the service is being provided with the right quality. And what I would say is, if you empower those employees and you really make them a part of what your vision and what your mission is, then they will stand up to the occasion, and they've done it many times. I mean, they're always challenging me too, and I always tell them, the day you see me come into work and I'm not happy, fire me. Fire me. Because you know what? I don't deserve to be a part of Briteworks. And they look at me and they laugh, and they're like, Anita, you are Briteworks, you know, you're the owner of Briteworks.
Yeah, you're the owner.
And I say, you know what? But it's an entity of its own. And there's going to be a day that I'm going to come in and I'm going to say, you know what? It's time to give the torch to someone else.
Yeah.
But in the time, I'm enjoying it. And I think that's the thing. it's just the personalities that you pick as employees. They have to see what that vision is, and they have to understand that we're there to actually be a part of their lives as well. I mean,
yeah, that's why. But the systems is very important.
Very
Because
important.
if you have chaos and people can't find things, jobs are not done, they're late, this happens, they're not going to come back to you.
no, they're just going to go somewhere else.
They're going to go somewhere. So let's talk about your services. Now you have your list of services, which we know here at KGM, and I want to talk about them. You do general office cleaning.
We do, yeah.
And you're right. Everything you told us, you said it's easier to have a janitorial service because none of the employees want to do it.
Well, we have to think of it this way.
As a business owner.
As a business owner,
Your
priority is to make sure you bring in revenue to your organization, right?
Exactly.
You need that to pay your bills and your livelihood. If you hire X, Y amount of people, whether it's 3, 5, 10, 25, whatever it is, everybody's is hired for a certain job, whether it's marketing, sales, accounting, or whatever you. How's that bookkeeper going to like it when you're telling them take 45 minutes of your time today and go and clean the restrooms? Like, no, it's not going to help. It's not going to work. And then is it going to be as clean and sanitized as it needs to be in order to give the courtesy for your employees? Your employees want to come in and be in a clean, friendly environment. And I keep on saying that, but how good does it feel when you're coming into a clean room?
Oh, you feel great.
Yeah. And you know what? You work more effective. You're more inspired to do your job. You're not complaining. There's another part of you that's like, there's no excuse now. I got to get down to work. I got to get down to business, right? So for us, I have always thought, I've been on the other side of the desk and the janitor doesn't pick up the trash or they're telling me I have to do it, and I didn't like those days. So putting it into place and letting our employees know or educating our clients and saying, hey, you know what? This is a way that you're probably going to get better revenue for yourself if you let us do this job. Let us take the headaches away from you. Let us be your cleaning solution. And some people think, I can't afford to have someone in there every single day. It's too unaffordable. And if you have a large organization over more than 25 of people, you really need to think about it. Maybe it's not 5 days a week, but maybe it's 3 days a week. And if you have under the 25, then maybe you can get away with doing 1 day a week. But whatever it is, provide that service for your employees, because you will as time goes on, you will see the return. Now they're focusing on their work, and they're able to get what you hired them for.
Well, what is, like, if you're doing 1 day a week, let's say it's small business, you're going to go in, you're going to do the carpets, you're going to do the trash, the vacuum, the normal things.
You're going to do, mopping and sweeping of the floors.
Right.
You're going to do the sanitation of the restrooms. That means, cleaning the toilets, the sinks, the walls, mopping and sweeping of the floors in there, and stocking the paper towels, the soap, and everything else to make it look fresh and clean when someone goes in there. And then you're going to go ahead and do some dusting, light dusting on a regular basis, or detailed dusting provided on what the client needs. But what you're going to do is maintain it. Because if you don't maintain it, and many people, and you could see it, next time you go into a large company or a business or a store, and you see that little griminess on the door when you're walking in, then someone's not taking pride on their facility, and there's a need there.
Yeah.
You go in and you don't see those floors being nice and polished like most supermarkets do. There's a reason why supermarkets invest in polishing their floors. It's inviting. So if you're retail and you are not getting the clientele that you wish you had, or maybe you had before, maybe get out of the box and review it, and maybe it could be a little bit about your cleaning services. Maybe there's something that you're missing. Maybe you've been in the box so much that you don't see everything. Maybe you don't see the glass doors that have been, that have fingerprints.
Right.
How many people want to go in and touch a dirty door to get into your business? I don't. I personally don't. I'm sure you have a sanitizer in your purse.
Well, I think it's very unconscious.
I prefer them asking me, how's everything? Did we provide the service that we needed to provide for you? Was everything in the aisles for you? I would prefer having that, because then I know they're really giving me that quality customer service, instead of telling me, or me hearing that, Jane or whoever has you still has to go and clean those restrooms.
They get resentful too, because it's like
but it happens.
It's an additional. What else do you do? Now let's talk about your services.
Oh, we just do anything when it comes to cleaning. I mean,
you do wood floors. You advise about wood floors. You give advice about wood floors. I know that because you did our wood floors and you did the studio. What else?
I think.
And you were very good, I have to say, because this is a television studio, right? So there are wires and cables and everything, and we were there, and you did everything real well. Because I was concerned about all the
wires, the cables.
Because I think businesses that have a lot of this, that's on their mind. But the staff was very nice to work with.
Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That makes me feel good. But what we also do is floor services for vinyl VCT floors. We do carpet cleaning.
What's VCT floors?
It's the vinyl commercial tile that you have, the regular tiles that you go and see in a grocery store, and they're really polished, really nice. They're waxed on a high grade, and you could see them. Like a lot of people say, if a woman goes by with her skirt, you could see the shine, the skirt shadow. Well, that's vinyl commercial tile is what is placed all over the place, and basically a lot of people like that shiny, glossy look on their floors, especially when you see grocery stores and things like that. And we do that, and it depends how many coats of wax you put on it. It takes a lot, or whether you're stripping the floor or scrubbing down the floor and putting additional layers on. But we have that technology. Our people are trained. We do graffiti abatement.
Okay, talk about graffiti abatement. Is this a big problem, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah.
If it's keeping me in business. I hate to say that, but it is. We do graffiti abatement. We do it for the Green Line. We've been doing it for the last 6 years.
For the Green Line? They have a lot of graffiti?
Yes, unfortunately, I hate to say that, but yes, they do. I don't know what's happening, but we see that graffiti is the thing. If you leave it on too long, then you're going to get more on that same wall. And so I do have people that go out pressure washing graffiti, removing it, and getting it to the place that it is taken off completely. Wow. And we do bus cleaning. We've done transportation cleaning, so we go in there and clean buses. We polish buses. We just, I guess I like to say we do anything when it comes to cleaning services.
Sometimes you don't notice. You notice it unconsciously that if it's clean, but when it's not clean on a bus, it's
the client that I have, that's one of their biggest concern is making sure that their buses are cleaned and rolled out the next day, and the sanitation of that bus is top priority. From the upholstery to the gum underneath the seats, to the little small areas, the range, the transients, and the ledges, and they're really concerned about that because they know what it takes. It's meeting that customer's needs. If they don't keep those buses clean, then the customers are not going to come in and utilize that service.
Now, are you going to be involved with the Gold Line and in some of the other lines that are?
I hope somehow, somewhere or another, that we will be. But you never know these days. Yeah.
Because you have to put the bids in.
Yeah.
And that's a long process, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. It takes months.
It takes time. I will say that. Yeah. If you're working for a government entity, you're probably putting in more time and energy for that proposal. And just because you did the proposal doesn't mean you're going to get it. There's a lot of competition in our industry. And that's one of the things. It was kind of like an old boys network many years ago, 16 years ago, and now it's great to see that a lot more women are getting involved in the industry. Right. So that's exciting. But yet, the process is there, and there's a lot of detail and bidding, and there's a lot of competition. I remember the first couple of days when we were going to start the business, and my husband came home really late at night, about 10 or 11, and I was making him something to eat, and he said, let me just pull up the telephone book in West Covina just to get an idea of some of the names that people have in janitorial. And he opened it up, and in just West Covina at that time, there was over 50 janitorial companies.
Really?
And he slammed the book down, and he put it aside. He goes, there's 50 companies in West Covina. How are we going to do this? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. We're going to do it. And I think just being focused and knowing that road path and having that vision actually makes things so much more believable and so much more that you're almost there already in your head. So it doesn't make it as difficult.
When you were working in the beginning in this, did you see the vision long term, or did you just see chunks?
I think throughout the whole process, I'll be very honest, what I did was challenge my own personal self.
Okay.
Meaning the first time and you know, it makes me laugh. I think the first organization that we got was probably less than 3,000 square feet. That's pretty small. And so when the check came in, I had said, and it was a monthly, that was the neat thing, because it was monthly, we were doing the
Cash
service.
flow.
And so I had said, oh, one of these days, if I can bill over 1,000, I'm really making it. The first goal before that was, if I could just bill my first client, I know I'm in business, right? That's the first thing for any business owner. If I just get one client, that means I'm really in business, right? So when I got to that point, when I was making 1,000, then it was like, oh, if I could just get to 25,000, if I could just get to like 250,000, if I could just, and it, for me personally, that's what drove me, if I could just do it. But one of the things that I felt really a priority, and I really had to pray on this, and I'm not saying that I'm a holy roller or anything, but for me was, I realized that there was a lot of exploitation in my industry. People don't get paid accordingly. People will end up getting paid every month. That's not the way for them to live. If they're your employees, pay them right. Pay them for the job that is done. They work hard. And so for me, I kind of like made a pact with God, and I said, God, help me succeed. Help me grow my organization. Help me as a woman business owner keep the door open, and so then more can come and work for me, so then I know that they're taken care of. Because out there, it's a real tough world, and some people in my industry don't take care of them. And so it's always been a blessing that I can say that the door has been open, and we kind of swing it open a little longer than other times to keep more people coming in and helping those out. For me, I think that's the rewarding. I think after I started seeing it on a dollar process, and yeah, you have to be accountable, you have to control your books and things like that. But for me, it was, how many employees am I going to get to work for me now? So for me, that is where I know that I'm seeing some form of success. When I see it was 0 employees, or it was only 3 employees,
right,
you know, and now I see that it is 60 something employees. And then that's when you know that you're making a difference in your community. And then your employees start taking on the same philosophies that you are, giving back to your community, valuing something that's part of them that they can be leaders in. And that's when you start realizing, oh my God, when you start seeing some of your employees coming in with a new car, and you're like, oh, that means I have to work harder, because not only do I have to worry about, you know, my own expenses, but my employee, I need to make sure he's able to put food on the table for his family and pay for that car payment, you know? So it just revolves. But if you keep on in stride, you know, you are able to accept it. You get to go to sleep at night and say things are going to be okay.
Thank you. What I want you to do now is face the camera over here and say your name, your telephone number.
My name's Anita Ron, and I'm with Briteworks Incorporated, located in Covina, California, and our number is 626-337-0099, and you can reach us on our website, www.briteworks.com.
Thank you, Anita. Thanks so much.
Thank you for having me.
This is Marlene Gibb with What Do You Do?